All right, everybody. The preseason has begun for the Colorado Avalanche, and they decided to not play one, but two games, one up in Minnesota and one at home against Vegas. We got to watch one of them, but we didn't get to watch the other, but we still will talk about both of them because we know some info from the Minnesota game. And obviously the game that was on television is still going on. They just finished the second period, but Kyle and I figured we saw enough. Let's dive in. Colorado Avalanche hockey is back, at least in preseason form, and that is enough to get us excited. Let's get to it.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
There's just about like a minute left in the second period as we're recording this, and as of right now it's 1-0 Vegas. Obviously, when you're listening to this Monday morning, you will have known the final, but it doesn't really matter. It is a preseason game, but what does matter is that the Avalanche are back out on the ice playing hockey, and they did it twice yesterday. So we're going to talk about both those games. But first things first, thank you for making Locked On Avalanche your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. You can follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com, and follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. All right, Mr. Sullivan. First, just sharing the excitement of when a new hockey season comes around. Like, there's always excitement when the stages, and then when they have like training camp. Yeah, that gets you excited. But when you finally get to see a product on television, or if you go to the game and you see that uniform skating around, even though it's preseason and it doesn't matter the score, just that a fresh hockey season is here just makes everything relaxed and fantastic. There's nothing better than a fresh hockey season.
Yeah, it's just something about the game of hockey. Like, back when I lived in Birmingham, I would go to the local rink and just like watch the youth games, like our minor league team and like the Ironman tournaments. I just love the game of hockey, and it's just so much more when it's guys and it's the sweaters you own, and it's like the team that half of your stuff is burgundy and blue. It's like, even though the game doesn't matter, it's them. It's the team you cheer for, and it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah. And for preseason hockey, for me, is like I do enjoy it. Like, I don't enjoy baseball preseason. I don't enjoy NFL preseason. But I think, like, for hockey preseason, there's some importance to it for exactly what we were just watching in some of these like prospects that are fighting for a spot, or some of these new guys that you have to see them for the first time and how are they gelling with a brand new team. So yeah, that's true for other sports, but I think just for more in hockey, it just means a little bit more. Not that these guys are gonna like set the world on fire or anything like that, but you get to see guys that you've seen all along the way, like guys like Martin Kaut trying like once again to get his foot in the door. I mean, he's had it in there before, but just to make that next step, can they do that? So there's a lot to get to, and they're only playing a couple preseason games, and then it's on to the regular season. But let's start with the game that we did get to put eyes on, and that was the Avalanche and Vegas in Colorado. And like I said, it is the second intermission right now. It's 1-0 Vegas on a power play goal by Vegas. And I want to start at the goalie position, because I feel like that is going to be, in my eyes, the number one question for the Avs. We talked about it so many times since they got Georgiev. I know it's a preseason game and they pulled him out of the game halfway through. Fine with that. But yeah, like, I like what I saw out of him. And even, like I said, even though it's a preseason game, but you still want guys like him that are going to be the starter. All right, you got to get off to a really good start. And the power play goal that he let in, I mean, that was a fantastic goal. Like, not many people are going to stop that. But I liked his quickness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really liked his quickness. And that's the one thing I didn't really like about Darcy Kemper, was he would stop a shot, or at least thought he stopped a shot, and wouldn't react enough to a rebound.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, and this is just a short sample size, but it's almost like Georgiev knows that he didn't corral it and it's rebounded somewhere, and he's right back to playing goal and looking for the puck and looking for the next shot. And Kemper's reaction time was pretty slow, where Georgiev seems like his is much quicker, and that's always good for a goalie. And I never played the position, but I was a catcher for baseball, so I kind of can, I kind of take my catching roots when I talk about like goaling. I don't know if it's anything the same, but
you're in a hunched down position. And you have a glove,
so it's clearly the same, right?
A mask.
Yeah. And a baseball, 90, 95 miles an hour is flying at me. So yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah.
But no, I did like what I saw preseason game nonetheless. But good start, I would say.
I went in there. Of course, this is no secret to anybody who listens. I'm the biggest Frankie fan in the world. That first goal that he let up, I almost tweeted out, "It's Frankie time." But I was pleasantly surprised with what I saw. It was watching him. It's funny you bring up that Kemper point, because like I kept thinking, like, watching him react and play, it felt like Sakic scouted him just because he's the perfect mix of DK and Frankie. And he's like both of them combined with, like, he's got a really good net presence like DK did, but he's got the quickness and the moves that Frankie does. And I could when seeing him settle in, and like I had somebody reach out to me on Twitter asking what I thought about the goalie position already in preseason. And I was like, let me see what he does with traffic. When it comes to that initial shot, like that Tyson Berry shot, like he does great with those. I wanted to see what he did with more traffic and rebound control, and he impressed me.
There were some times where it seemed like he was tracking the puck pretty well. There was some, like, his vision seemed to be top of the line right now.
Yeah.
But he's not banged up. He's feeling good. Like, he's 100%. Okay, that's all well and good. You should be playing kind of your best. No, I don't want to say your best hockey. I shouldn't say that, because you got to shake some of the rust off.
Yeah.
But taking all of that into account, it was a promising start for him, I feel. And I like the speed. I like his quickness. And it seems like his vision is there, and he was at least tracking the puck pretty well. Seemed to be in the right spot, the right time, even on the goal, even on the power play goal. If you didn't see it, it's just that was a fantastic shot. I can't remember who scored it. I don't know, some guy in Vegas, but
Cotter,
something.
Cotter.
Is that what it is? Okay. That was just a pretty shot. And that would have just been one of those Ole luck glove saves if he had made it.
And a good point to bring up was, like, watching Georgiev. Like, it was just last week, I believe it was, that we were talking about the rookie faceoffs that they had. You could see the visible step up in goalie play just by having Georgiev out there. Like, we saw Minor and Eustace, and now you see that step up, and now you see that separation. Whenever things go bad, you always hear, but there's still Eustace. You see the separation now. Yeah. This is the kind of level that we want Eustace to be. That's why we always say, like, maybe another year.
Well,
this is why.
We'll talk about him a little later, because he played in the game in Minnesota, and they played a lot of their big guys, and he held his own a little bit. So we'll talk about him a little bit later. But another guy I want to talk to before we break for a second is Oscar Olausen.
Yeah.
He showed a lot. He's got speed. He has the shot.
Yeah.
And he has a shot of taking that, fourth line wing position, whatever he's going to play. He's got a chance. And if he kind of keeps this, it's tough, because you're not going to get too many chances in games, in preseason games. So you have to take advantage of the few moments that you have right now. We'll see what he does in the third period, obviously, because we're recording before that even starts. But those first two periods for him, he was everywhere. Yeah. And he was not backing down. And he's on the slender side. But it's not like he was shying away from contact, but he would absorb it well. He knows he's going to get hit. This is a National Hockey League. It's part of the game that he's just going to have to deal with. And there's going to be times I feel like he's going to take a hit where you're just going to be like, ooh,
Yeah.
is he going to get up? But if he can learn to play the game and absorb hits and that to minimize the damage, he's got a shot, man. Like he looked in 2 periods anyway. I thought he looked very, very good, and they utilize him a lot on the power play. So
And
real good chance for him.
And the thing that really stood out to me that complements his shot so well is something that really stood out to me. He's got a really fine touch on his passes.
Mhm.
You would see that a lot with like whatever line JT was on. He stood out. He felt like Nathan McKinnon because his play is just it's very superior and like he's playing with a little bit of fire. Like he's got a little bit of like energy for this season. So to see Confer looking like he does, that's great. But when those passes work, it's noticeable. Everybody else kind of just you'll see the passes kind of bogged down and plays not set up, and that's noticeable. You're like, okay, they still need some work here.
Yeah.
But Alausen is right out there doing the passes. Like him and Foodie were both really good with the passing. So if you're doing that really well, it doesn't matter what you can bring to the table offensively. If you can help set up plays, you're going to fit in really, really good.
Yeah, I thought Foodie, he's got the skill or the speed.
Mhm.
It's can he's got a pretty good shot. He's a little bit undersized, so he's gonna have to get kind of creative. But I thought he was out there a lot. It seemed like he was anyway. And yeah, his speed is kind of what can help him. And same thing with Alausen. Were they on the same line? I have the lines here. No, it was Alausen, Tardif, and how I wish his name ended with an S
I
instead of an
know.
F.
I know.
And Martin Kaut on the second line, and then Bukaj, Foodie, and O'Connor. That's a pretty good line. And Bukaj made a couple really good plays. Not, he was up against the boards and he was trying to keep the puck in the zone. I think they were on a power play, and kind of made a really nice spin move, but left the puck behind him and collected the puck on the other side to make like okay, whoa, where'd that
Yeah.
come from? Like, but he didn't like wow me, but it seemed like he was kind of holding his own. And I'm interested. We're not going to be able to watch the third period because
Yeah.
we're recording this, but one of those guys that seems like just maybe could get better as the game progresses. I don't know, but we'll see because he's just a guy I root for. He's got a lot of scoring ability. Bukaj does, so we'll see about that. All right, let's hear from Athletic Greens, and obviously there's more people that played in this game that we need to get to. One including the newest member of the Avs in Rodriguez. So, but first we're going to hear from Athletic Greens, and we've talked about Athletic Greens before in the past. And Kyle and I are getting up there in age. There's the coffee holder for your Athletic Greens, and I don't know about you, like there's some things that you just can't eat anymore because it just upsets the tummy.
Yeah.
For me, it's like the chicken wings with the medium and hot sauce. I just can't do it anymore. I have to like be okay with moving on from maybe once in a while. Maybe when like the
Yeah.
Super Bowl comes around, but to make it part of your daily routine, just can't do it anymore. You just have to be smart about it. So even if you are experiencing some gut health and you want to kind of feel better in the gut area, that's where Athletic Greens can come into play. It's 1 scoop of delicious Athletic Greens into your morning water, and you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. It's a special blend of ingredients that support your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your recovery, focus, and aging, everything that's important to you. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a complicated supplemental routine to recover, which cost him over $100 a day. And Athletic Greens will cost you less than $3 a day, and you're investing in your health. It's cheaper than getting all the different supplements on your own, and you're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. So right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day, and that is it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Once again, it's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, so Mr. Rodriguez is new in town, and you saw a lot of him. And as we were recording, like I said, there was like 2 minutes left, and the very first thing you said to me as soon as you jumped into the studio here was, they just nailed Rodriguez, and he's out.
Yeah.
But then I checked, and I think Peter Ball put up that he came back out. They called the power play on it, right? You said they did call a boarding play? Okay. And according to Peter Ball, he did come back out for that power play. That's always, people get hurt in the preseason, and you hate when that happens. I didn't see the play, but
it was very dirty. Like, it could have easily peeled off that play. It's a play you don't do. It's Vegas being Vegas, and there was I think it was Middleton came in and tried to take up for him. And it was that dirty.
You know what, man? Like, I wish hockey had like a rule where you could just have guys on the bench, and then if they substitute in, like, they have to stay in, almost like soccer. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And if you had a Keaton Middleton and Curtis McDermott like duo, nobody would mess with you. Like, they were the duo in this game. That's a solid 1-2 punch. It'll never happen. But good Lord, those guys are monsters.
I want to talk about one of those names in a little bit.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Rodriguez first, because he's the newbie, and I want to say a lot is expected of him, and I don't think that's going too far out of bounds, because they brought him in for a big reason. And I think you saw a little bit of what he could provide. It's funny, like well, how did you kind of explain him?
I said he's anti-Burakovsky.
Meaning that he puts shots on net.
He shoots everything. Like, if he sees a lane, he's taking a shot.
I think some of it is like the the talent that's out there. I think he's able to kind of create shooting lanes for himself that maybe sometimes wouldn't normally be there when you're going up against another team, especially on the power play. There's a power plays galore in this game, even after 2 periods. So he got a lot of opportunities there. Let me see. I'll bring up his stuff. But
what I kept thinking, like, every time you take those shots, I'm like, if he was out there with Nate, like, I wonder if that would happen.
Yeah.
If he would just like look and be like, give me that pass. Like, you don't have to take that.
But if he was out there with Nate, like, a lot of attention is going to go towards McKinnon, which opens things up for him. And that's what you want to see. Like, what we were seeing when we were watching, like, he's got a really good shot. So if he can get in a situation where, I mean, I don't know what the first power play unit is going to look like. He was playing in McKinnon's spot. Clearly, he's not going to do that come the regular season. But even if he's on power play 2, you would have maybe some shooting lanes, because I know Taves is always out on power play 2. You're probably going to have Alex Newhook out there. Comfort's out there sometimes on power play 2. I don't know. Like, I mean, that used to be Burakovsky, so he could be the new. You're throwing on Burakovsky, he could be that. And if he can get more, if he has a better shooting percentage. But anyway, I'm saying, like, if he does, let's say he does play power play 1 with, guys like Nathan McKinnon, he could have some shooting lanes where he could do a lot of damage.
Yeah,
really,
he really could, especially if everybody's baiting to everybody else. Like, that's Cale Makar, or like that. If everybody's going after that first power play, and you get an open lane, he's one of those that will fire it. He's not going to second guess. So create some rebounds, especially, and have Landy right there in the slot and clean it up. I mean, it could be very effective.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good. He looked good, and Alex Newhook played in the Minnesota game, so I don't know exactly. I mean, I'll bring up his stats, but it just sounds like it's going between those 2 guys from the early things that you hear in camp. I believe, like, Alex Newhook was the for first practice was the first guy for line 2. That doesn't mean anything long term. It's going to be a fight right up until the first game. And I'm at the spot where I'm like, I think it's fine with either one of these guys.
Yeah.
And we always say how Jared Bednar always moves guys up and down the line. He'll probably do the same thing with the 2C. Whoever wins it or is anointed it at game 1 doesn't mean they're going to be there for the entirety of the season. So I think you have 2 guys that really can do the job.
And I think Newhook is now at a disadvantage because his stat totals, he has 1 shot, 1 block in 21 minutes of ice time in that Minnesota game.
Mm-hmm.
And now seeing what Erod did, he's going to step it up. He's like, oh, I have to definitely take more than 1 shot if I want to really stand out here with Rodriguez. I got to really take more shots. So I'm interested to see how he responds to that because they're all competing. Like, so it's interesting to watch everybody try and like really make their mark with the Avalanche.
Well, you got Rodriguez after 2 has 3 shots on goal. Guess who? Take a guess at who leads shots on goal.
Olausen?
No. I mean, he hasn't played in so long. He hasn't played in so long. You probably forgot that whenever he has an opportunity to shoot, he shoots.
McDermott?
Jacob McDonald.
Oh, Jacob
McDonald's got 4 shots on goal after 2.
Wow.
And it's so true. Like, you forget like how hard that guy plays. You think he's just like a defenseman, but no. If he has a lane, he is firing it. He doesn't even care, and I love that about him.
Yeah,
because I don't think he's firing with the intention of scoring. It's like, oh yeah, if something happens, traffic in front of the net, and somebody else tips it, that's my job. Or if it does get through and there's a fat juicy rebound, you know what I mean? Like, he just has the mindset of playing a game like the way that I love that it's played.
Yeah.
So
I love watching him play.
Yeah, and he was paired with Bowen Byram on the top pairing. So
he looked good too.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Bo Byram he was toying with people.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like, I don't need to be out here, but holy crap, the Denver Broncos won that game. How in the world did they win that game? 11-10, first of all, is the score in that game. But I just got the notification as I'm looking up these stats for the Avs. Oh man, that rough start. Go listen to Cody and say for all your Locked On Broncos stuff. But man, I bet they have a lot to say about that game. How they won it, no clue. I shut it off around halftime, focused solely on the Avs preseason game. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
One member I do want to bring up of the Avalanche that did not look great, and it's going to pain me to say it, but Curtis McDermott, my friend, you look lost.
You think so? He didn't stand out to me, but he didn't stand out as good or bad. He did.
There was one play especially he got lost, like Nikita Zadorov lost, and was down in the slot. It was not anywhere close to the blue line in his position, and there was a guy out there dancing around the blue line, debating on who he was going to pass to. He had a lane to take a shot, and Kurt had to get all the way back to his position. I was just like, bud, no. I was like, you were from where the season ended for him on such a high where he was building and really finding his place in his role. It felt like we lost all of that in the off season, and we're having to build all that back up again. So I really like to see him step up and get back in that role because it very sloppy for McDermott. And I kept my eye out because I wanted to see if he could possibly fit in a forward position since defense is really no place for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not like what I saw out of him.
Okay. We do have a goal actually by the Avalanche, and that is Alex Bukaj.
Hey.
Yeah. Assisted by Jacob McDonald and Jean-Luc Foudy. There you go. So it's a 1-1 game. That happened in the first minute of the third period. So it's 1-1, obviously. A guy who I don't think looked good, who needs to, Martin Kaut.
Yeah.
Martin Kaut, and you can almost see he's trying super hard.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that and I get it. But what happens when you do that? You make mistakes. And he had 2 penalties, one of them completely egregious, just did not need to happen. And it was, I think it was a hooking call. I don't know what the official call was. It might have been hooking. So far away from your own net. It was just a really that was, I'm just like overcompensating. I'm just trying so hard. So you don't like to see that. I was, when I saw that they scored a goal, in my head, I was first like, I hope it's Kaut to kind of redeem himself. But for the first two periods anyway, he was playing okay. But when you do things like that, if you're trailing on the play, just do your best to catch up. Don't try to commit a penalty that you hope the refs don't see to catch up. That's not the way to do it. And he did it twice.
Yeah, he totally had that like try hard aura around him that whole game, and that coupled with the comments that like
Right.
it's a double whammy, man. Like you are not helping your case. You don't hear comments like that in the locker room. One about, hey, this is my final shot. I'm pretty sure if I don't make it, this is it for me. You don't say that publicly to where it's picked up by every publication because, hey, look at your crest. You play for the defending Stanley Cup champion. Like you can't be saying stuff like that. And then you go into your first preseason game and then you put out this kind of effort. It's like you're not doing yourself any favors, Martin.
Like I like the hustle, but you're like I said, when you're doing too much, you gotta get tired quicker, and then you do things that you don't normally do, and usually a penalty follows suit. So, all right, we'll see how that game ends. But the other game was up in Minnesota, split squad game. They lost that one 3-2, but it went to overtime, and Minnesota played their star. I mean, most of their stars. I think I'm looking at the box score. Hartman was in there. Kaprizov is in there. Marco Rossi, Matt Dumba, Eriksson Ek is in there. Foligno. They played, and then in goal they played both Fleury and Jesper Wallstedt. Like, yeah, I mean, like we're saying with the Avalanche against Vegas, and even for Minnesota, you don't have a lot of games, so you play most of your guys right now. And Minnesota, I think, went up 2-0 in the second. So it was 0-0 after the first. They scored. Kaprizov scored, and then Addison scored in the second. And then in the third, the Avs tied it up. Kyle Sullivan's man, Spencer Smallman. You have to get a Smallman jersey.
I'm telling you, I want to get a Spencer Smallman jersey so bad.
Yeah. He scored, and then 2 minutes later, Shane Bauer scored. You love to see that.
Yeah.
So they tied it up, and then Minnesota, 48 seconds into overtime, Ryan Hartman scored. So, okay, fine, but look at the difference between that team and the team that's playing Vegas. This team, the Minnesota game, was a lot of AHL guys. I think. Like I said, Alex Newhook played there. Ben Myers did play up. Magna did. Galchenyuk did. Ranta did. And then for goal, it was Anderson. So, the stronger,
by Frankie,
who didn't even play.
But it was an interesting split to see JoJo and Georgiev against Vegas, and then Frankie, and Eustace in Minnesota. That was interesting to me.
And the thing that I really am looking at, Jared Bednar coached that team, against the Minnesota team. So he's really looking at the youngsters coming up and all right, show me something. And think about, put yourself in that situation, and the head coach is coaching you. You're putting your best effort in. You know what I mean? So anyway, but I think it's a good mark for these guys to. You're basically the AHL team, and you went up against a professional team and held your own.
And see, we're talking about like names that stood out to us that might have a chance. But I think the thing is, we might be hearing and seeing the names that we didn't get to see that Bednar was coaching because of their performance against a basically NHL team, and having Bednar there, who is so focused, like. They had the Eagles head coach coaching against Vegas. So I feel like a lot of these names that we did not get to see in Minnesota might also have a chance, and I'd like to see how these rosters get constructed going forward in our next preseason games, because
Yeah.
there's some big names on that roster too, even though they don't pop out like a Lawson or a Foodie. But I mean, to see what Megna Bowers can finally do, like Newhook's down there, but Galchenyuk, we can finally get a look at him. Like that roster against Minnesota, it's nothing to sniff at.
No. And I'm looking at minutes on ice. It's pretty. I mean, I don't
That's a
say
Bednar coach
even.
game.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Hunt by far had like 23 minutes on ice. But Newhook had 21 and a half minutes on ice. So he played a ton. So there, I mean, that's telling to me.
Yeah.
Jared Bednar is coaching that team, and he put Alex Newhook out there for 21 minutes and 30 seconds. He's getting a good look at,
Yep.
not that he, it's not that he's unfamiliar with Alex Newhook, but he's putting him out there to kind of, he's pushing him to win that job. I kind of feel, and let's see what you got, because that's what you're going to be playing. Those are the minutes you're going to be playing night in and night out if you're in that spot. But other than that, I mean, everybody else got good minutes. Your boy Smallman got 14 over 14. Ranta got 1250. I mean, nobody's really under. He might have had the lowest, actually.
Oh man, could I get a line of Sampo, Erod, and Smallman next year, please? Could that be the fourth line? Oh,
next year?
Happy. Yeah.
We'll see.
I'll text Bednar right now.
So,
and you mentioned Newhook's minutes. I really feel like, especially with how Newhook started last year, I really feel like Bednar had the talk like, hey, step up or you're going to be going back with the guys you're playing with. Like, show me something.
Yeah, I don't know if it could be a little bit of show me something, but it's a little bit of like, you're going to need to be a workhorse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you need to step up. Okay. Like minutes are just the beginning of it. So I don't know. I wish we could have seen some of this game. I don't think there was any way to view it unless you were physically there. I was even trying to check like Minnesota's like homepage if they were putting it up. They didn't even have anything going on with it.
I did the same thing. I had to I threw up in my mouth. My screen was green and yellow, and I was like, "Oh, I'm lost." My pop-up blocker didn't catch this.
So, but I mean, when you're just reading the stats and you're reading like people that were there tweeting about it and things like that, again, the score doesn't mean anything. But when you're that of much of a team that doesn't have as much, history as what Minnesota put out there, I think that's a positive for the Avs.
Yep.
So, do we get it?
In these preseason games, like scoring is like the fourth or fifth thing you're looking at. You want to see how this team works together and who brings what to the squad.
Right. So, approaching the halfway mark, still 1-1. So, like I said, we'll see who wins this thing, and if Spencer Smallman can rip home the game winner. If he does that, you are buying a Spencer Smallman. If he nets the game winner in this game, and if you're listening to this right now and you know that he did, Shaggy Von Doom is buying a Spencer Smallman jersey.
And I was just thinking, with it being 1-1, if it goes to overtime, would we have JoJo versus Hutchinson?
That I don't think they do shootouts, do they, in the preseason?
I don't know. I don't know what those rules are.
I don't know if they do. That would just go on forever because they would just keep letting in goals. So, yeah. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Let us know what you thought. Who looked good? Who stood out? Who do you think kind of is taking advantage of seizing the opportunity? And who maybe is faltering a little bit, even though it was one game? Comment away. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Mr. Shaggy Van Doom, what's the latest Puckberg episode out?
We have Bernie coming up, super fan of the Avalanche, will be next Saturday, and then after that will be the season finale.
Okay. Go follow Welcome to Puckberg. And if you want to be on it for next season, get a hold of Mr. Sullivan. You can mark it down and you'll schedule something.
It's a fun time.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli. And this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We will see you guys tomorrow.